Hi, this is Dez Futak on day number 30 of my 90-day internet marketing challenge. That means I'm a third of the way through. I'm doing these series of videos on internet marketing, business training development, mindset marketing, and all sorts of things, social media marketing. I said mindset marketing, I didn't mean so, I meant to say just mindset. With a view to just explain to you something about the business that I'm involved in, but I hope that in the course of doing these videos, you're going to get something out of this which will be useful to you in your life and possibly in your business if you run your own business. But if you don't run your own business, I don't want you to discount this as something that's irrelevant to you, because it might well have some significant impact, particularly these two videos I'm doing yesterday and today. I've just started a two-part series on goal setting and mindset, and yesterday, if you look back on the video yesterday, I was talking to you about the whole process of correct thinking, developing the right thinking. So going from I can't to how can I is a very, very important transition that you need to make in your life if you want to be more successful in achieving the goals that you want. Now today what I'm going to do, I'm going to take it a little bit further, and I'm going to explain to you about how to get into that groove, how to actually make sure that in that process of trying to answer that question, how can I, how do you make it more likely that you're going to be able to succeed in answering that question and getting towards your final endpoint? Because obviously, you know, we all start somewhere and we all want to get to somewhere, but the process of going from start to finish is very, very important how we do it, because so often, you know, we develop the mindset I can't because we try and try and try, we try hardest, we try to lose weight, or we try to get fit, or we try to, you know, become more financially free, get out of debt and so on, and we get a little way along that pathway, but unless we have the right thinking, the right way of doing this, the right methodology, then we're much less likely to succeed. Now, about a year or so ago, I read a book called The Slight Edge, which was really something of what I'm going to talk to you today about, but I'm also going to go a little bit further. So I just want to draw up on the whiteboard here what I said yesterday, which is, you know, we all start somewhere and we want to achieve our goals, and along the way we need to do something in order to get to our goals. It's an obvious point to make. Okay, so here's our goals over here, excuse the squeaky pen. And what I want to show you today is a couple of things that I've learned that I think are really key to my success in my business, but also in my life as a dad, as a husband, and just, you know, as somebody who can give back to the community. I've got some ideas about what I want to do, but in order to get there, I've got to do some important things inside my head. I've got to establish some things in my life that are going to make it much more likely to succeed and get to that final goal, and also go along the journey in the process. As I said yesterday, it's important. The journey is as important as the final goal itself, and so often we discount the journey and we just focus on the end game, but both are important. Okay, so there's two things I want to just explain to you today about how we make sure we're going to make it as likely as possible to go from start to finish. And the first thing I want to say is really this word here, which is something I've learned from Tony Robbins. There's a video I've done earlier on YouTube, which will appear above my finger as if by magic. You can click back on that video and look at a video I've done with Tony Robbins interviewing John Reese and Frank Kern. They talk about this, and that's something that I think is very, very significant. And this first thing is daily ritual. Okay, in order to maximize the chance of success, you need to establish some kind of daily ritual that becomes a habit. Now, that is one of the primary reasons why I'm doing these videos. I'm doing 90 videos over the course of 90 days, because I know if I do 90 videos, there's no way that I'm ever going to stand in front of a camera or in front of an audience and be, you know, afraid to just speak stuff out and stuff comes out of my head, out of my experience. And there's no way I'm going to be able to do that without, you know, knowing that I've got a good chance of succeeding, if you understand all the negatives there. So by developing a habit, a 90-day habit, it takes about 10,000 hours roughly to gain mastery, so the experts say. So I'm doing this as part of my own training, self-development if you like. By giving out to you, I'm also getting back far more. So there's many layers to the reasons, many reasons why we do the things we do. So we need to establish a daily ritual in our lives, and by that I just mean you just do the same thing day in, day out, until it just becomes second nature. And the reason why you do this is because it builds this thing which is called momentum. Now, as you probably know, I'm actually a physics teacher, so if I use the word momentum, that means something to me in a physicist sense. But actually, momentum, we all understand the momentum concept, the idea that you move forward and you keep moving forward, and as you keep moving forward and getting faster and faster and faster, you gain momentum, and then eventually you become unstoppable. And the best analogy I've got is actually the idea of a snowball. Now, before I started my current business, I was trying to think to myself, when do I start? Do I start now, or do I leave it till later on when my finances are kind of in a better shape? No, I thought I should start when I did, because actually I knew the importance of building momentum in my business. Because I know that there are going to be obstacles along the way. Just visualize this for a minute, close your eyes if necessary. Okay, don't worry if you don't want to close your eyes. If you imagine just a slope, okay, a hill, and I'm not sure I'm going to be able to fit on the whiteboard here. Perhaps I'll just move it down a little bit, maybe like that. Okay, nice magic whiteboard. So imagine a hill here with kind of rocky bits and so on. If you're going to get down that hill as a snowball, you need to make sure that you get bigger and bigger as you go down, because if you're not big enough, when you come across a bumpy bit, you're not going to be able to get any further. Okay, and that's a picture that I had in my mind when I was starting my business. I knew that somewhere down here was the straight line region, which is really when I'm beginning to kind of master what I'm doing. And I knew that there would be things along the way which would make that not necessarily a smooth ride. But I knew that if I added to my snowball daily, my snowball would get bigger and bigger and bigger, and actually it'd become an avalanche. And an avalanche, as you probably know, is virtually unstoppable. Once it gets going, there's nothing that can stop it. Now, I'm not going to go into the analogy too far down the line, because you can always pick holes in analogies. That's not my point. My point is that in order to establish something, you need to have a daily ritual so you can build momentum. And the other thing, the second thing you need to do, so that was point number one. The second thing you need to do is you need to practice in your mind. You need to rehearse. Okay, I call it rehearsal. Tony Robbins calls it visualization, or a lot of the kind of motivation experts, and Tony Robbins doesn't like calling himself a motivation expert. He prefers to call himself somebody who helps you get into a peak state, because in the peak state you perform at your highest. Okay, so you need to do what I call rehearsal. Okay, daily rehearsal. Some people, visualize their end game, so they sort of perhaps they kind of think about what it'd be like to live in this house that they want, or they think about the effect of specific financial contributions to a particular charity that they want. They actually see where that money could go. It could maybe help a village to have a well, and then they kind of like imagine in their heads the smell of the soil as they take part in helping to dig that well, and the joy in the villagers' faces and so on. So you can see where I'm going with this. So the idea of rehearsal is that you're trying to involve all the senses in that experience, because that experience has not yet happened. It's somewhere in the future, you hope. Okay, now what you do, I reckon, this is Futak's theorem. Okay, I haven't got any evidence for this. How much time I've got left? Got another minute and a half. Okay, Futak's theorem about this is when you rehearse things in your mind, what you're doing is you're setting up new pathways inside your head. Okay, if you're glazing over, or this is going whoosh over your head, just kind of ignore me for about 20 seconds. But you're setting up new pathways inside your head, new neurological pathways that reinforce, because you're doing this on a daily basis. Now, watch that video with Frank Kern and John Rees, and there's a video where John Rees says he just read Auto Trader every day, and he looked at the Porsche he was going to buy, and he read Entrepreneur magazine, and the guy said to him in the shop, "Why are you doing that? You're setting yourself up for failure here." And John said, "I'm just looking at the car I'm going to buy. I'm looking at the car." And he just rehearsed this experience in his head, and that gave him that inspiration, if you like, that vision, that sense of certainty. Okay, because rehearsal builds certainty. I'll do that in green again. Okay, and when you're certain, then you're much more likely to succeed. Okay, and tomorrow I'm going to go over something I did in an early video about why that is the case. So, daily ritual and rehearsal. If you can do those two things every day, then you're much more likely to get to your goals. And tomorrow I'll talk about rehearsal in a little bit more depth. Okay, cheers, bye for now.